what he brings is a skill set any team can use. Wataru Endo is the archetypal modern defensive midfielder, the perfect number six. I think in Bild they called him a Stuttgart's vacuum cleaner because that's what he does. He sits there in that defensive midfield position and he mops up everything. I just think he's got all the tools Liverpool need in that position.
So, as you know, if you're watching this video now, Wataru Endo is becoming Liverpool's next midfielder. I've got Dan O'Hagan on, who's a Bundesliga commentator, and he's going to be telling us a bit more about the Japanese captain, basically. So thanks for coming on, Dan.
Pleasure.
What was your initial reaction when you heard the news?
Surprised, given his age, but equally not surprised because what he brings is a skill set any team can use. Wataru Endo is the archetypal modern defensive midfielder, the perfect number six. His stats in the Bundesliga the last two seasons in terms of duels won, distance covered, tackling statistics, as good as anybody, top 10 in both those categories for the last two seasons. A score or two of big goals, important goals. The one on the last day, the last game, last minute, 2 seasons ago against Köln, kept Stuttgart in the Bundesliga. And last season too, the last but one match, they scored a huge equaliser in a game away to Mainz they had to win as well. So a player who can perform on the big stage, on the big occasion, 50 caps for Japan as well. I think for Liverpool, this could be a very, very astute signing.
What made him stand out at Stuttgart?
Just that sheer work rate, the leadership. You know, Stuttgart have been a very poor team the last 2 seasons. They've survived by the skin of their teeth in the Bundesliga for the last 2 campaigns. And but for him and his leadership, he was called in the German press, I think in Bild, they called him a Stuttgart's vacuum cleaner because that's what he does. He sits there in that defensive midfield position and he mops up everything. And for me, certainly in that position, the last couple of years, among the best of the Bundesliga without question.
Fabinho was a defensive midfielder, but he did have a bit of passing in his locker. He could make those incisive passes at times. I've seen highlights where Endo has done that. Is that something he does regularly? Or, as you say, are we just looking for him to do the dirty work, basically?
He's more than that. He's a very efficient passer and he's very happy to come into advanced midfield and play short passes. Not a player with a huge range of passing, but rarely gives the ball away. I think his pass completion rate was nearly 80% last season, which in a team that don't retain the ball too much and don't have much possession, those aren't bad numbers.
Klopp sometimes likes to bed players in, but this definitely feels like a signing that's needed straight away. Do you think he has the ability to go straight into Liverpool's team, given how we play? He'd have to cover a lot of ground, and I know he's 30, but do you think he's still got the energy to do that?
Oh, ground covering is not an issue for Wataru Endo, absolutely. Top 10 in that category the last 2 seasons in the Bundesliga. No signs of tiring or aging at all in him. You know, he may not be a player who starts every week. He may be a player Klopp will pick and choose, you know, horses for courses. There are some games that Endo will suit, some games he wouldn't suit. But I just think in terms of the player he is and what he has, he's a very useful tool to have in the Liverpool toolbox. Short term, medium term, given the age, but I think a player who will come in and fit into the Premier League with no problems whatsoever. He's a player that I think crosses all the right boxes for Liverpool. And I'm surprised that more clubs haven't gone in for him because in Germany, he's been known for the last 3 or 4 years as this super industrious, hardworking, efficient, effective number 6. And I just think he's got all the tools Liverpool need in that position.